Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Rotoworld Football Show, Thursday, May 14th, 2026. Had to think about what year it was. They get progressively more fake. My name is Patrick Daugherty, joined by Denny Carter, Kyle Dvorchak. We're joined by lots of NFL news. Not all of it good. Malik Nabers, unfortunately, has undergone a second surgery after tearing his ACL last week for truly not the biggest deal, but a bigger deal than if it hadn't happened. That's for sure. The cleanup operation. So we'll talk about Malik Nabers. We'll talk about De'Von Achane finally getting his contract extension. The Dolphins were not kidding about that. Boy, do they like this young man, and boy, do they like paying him very well earned. Bucky Irving still not cleared. I don't think that was a huge surprise, but the offensive coordinator is now saying him and Kenneth Gainwell have similar skill sets. We'll talk about just how over it is for Bucky Irving. And never getting my house back, but we'll see. Maybe some good can come of this. We'll talk about the international slate. We don't have the full schedule release as of the time this is being recorded. You will have it. We'll talk about the schedule probably more next week, but we'll talk about the international slate, our favorite games there. We might talk about air miles, though Kyle was trying to poo-poo that before we came on the air.
Oh, AI.
I said it was AI nonsense. We'll talk about the Falcons quarterback situation, the Cardinals quarterback situation, some more Bucks stuff apparently.
Adonai Mitchell.
Adonai Mitchell,
buddy.
And if we have time, we might not have time for this. They're quote uninstalling Drew Allar's software. They're taking the Drew Allar cartridge out and
that was pretty funny, actually. That report.
If that makes anything happen, Danny Carter. But first, of course, we're going to talk about soccer. And no, not the FIFA 26 World Cup, which, to be frank, overpriced. It's on Fox. If you're going to watch the World Cup this year, don't go to the games. Don't watch on Fox. Watch on Telemundo or in Espanol on Peacock, where we will have the World Cup in Spanish. Yep. That is my preferred method of getting the World Cup. Denny, my preferred method of playing soccer, of course, resembles nothing like yours. Kyle and I have learned stunning information about what soccer coach Denny Carter does on the field. Denny claims it's, quote, normal. He claims it's, quote, fine. He claims it's, quote, norms don't matter. Denny, tell the audience what has Kyle and I so outraged now for the better part of a week.
Yeah, we actually have had this teed up, just for the listeners. We've had this teed up for a week, 7 days. These guys want to lay into me because I'm trying to win, and they don't like that. I coach my daughter's soccer team, 10 and under, right? It's the second year we've done this. Now, my daughter happens to be the best defender in the tri-state area, okay? And I'm not just saying that. Like, other parents have come up to me, and they don't know it's my daughter, and they're like, what is with that girl? Like, this girl's a monster. And my daughter, she has that dog in her, right? And so
Virgil Van Carter.
She just wrecks people, right? 3-on-1, and she's the one. It's over. She's stopping that.
Those people are scary. Those kids that are like true like sweepers that you can't get by. They're like little Terminators. It is kind of
scary. Also, don't indulge him. He's about to say some heinous stuff. So
okay, so I because she is so good at defense, I actually have a defense where most of the time I play one person on defense, and that's her. Now I have a very fast, great dribbling striker who I need to get in the open field. And you know how I do that, guys? Because, again, I want to win. I put her at midfield, and I say, you just stay there. And you wait for the ball to pop out, and then you go, right? Now, I do say, try to stay on our side of the field, which is not offsides, if I understand this correctly.
Well, it's not. Yeah, I mean, you're on your side of the field. It's not cherry picking. You've been leaving out what this is actually called, cherry picking.
Cherry picking.
And you've been bearing the lead that there's no offsides. So you're circumventing the spirit of sportsmanship.
I'm already sensing that Denny has gone to his lawyer between when we talked about doing this as a segment and actually doing it as a segment, because the language has become so much more cagey now that he has to present it to the public. At first he's like, yeah, we just bomb it off sides every time because you score. It's easy. And now he's like, well, sometimes we consider doing a more ethical version of this because we don't have her always cross midfield. It is legal. The story is already being very sugar-coated. He's just having his best player go off sides.
With the coolness of a serial killer. Right. Last week, he told us that he cherry picks to score.
And you guys would not believe the audible groan that came out of these two. I mean, and producer Adam, all of them at the same time. Ugh. Like, I can't believe you would play such dishonorable soccer, right? Which is fine. Hey, that's fair. That's fair. I like the spreadsheets and I like to win. So I'm just saying, I just put my best dribbling striker at midfield and I say, you do not go anywhere. You just stay there. And here's the thing. Here's the worst part for you guys. It works. Like, we are on a tear.
Believe me, I know cheating works. Yeah.
Yeah. I was gonna say, one follow-up question. What age bracket are we talking roughly? You don't have to say
under 10. 9
and 10. You think this is actually so under 10? What do you
think this is teaching them, Denny?
That's my point. These kids are going to go to the U11 bracket where offside is not allowed, and they're all going to be made fun of and laughed at and not know how to play soccer for the rest of your lives because you've warped them just so you personally could win these games.
So I actually, the reason I sound lawyerly is because I talked with an assistant coach that I have, and she actually
played college. Resigned.
She actually played college soccer. And I said, do you think this is okay? This strategy is okay? And she said, it depends. Do you want them to learn the game or do you want to win?
She's right. Of course she's right.
Literally no one likes this at all.
And
what are the parents? Has anyone yelled at you yet? Are you getting yelled at?
But no, no one has yelled at me, but the other teams are starting to notice. They're starting to kind of look into what I'm doing exactly, and that's making me a little nervous.
It's making you're about to get busted. Your own assistant coach is honestly selling you out to the feds. By the way, she's making it very clear she's wearing a wire.
Hey, listen, we went to the championship game last year. We're doing it again this
wow. Cherry picking is the most dishonorable of sports. It's honestly stunning. Although it's not at all stunning if you know Denny Carter, if you know his character. His character being he likes spreadsheets. And spreadsheets, they don't care about honor. They don't care about norms. They don't care about rules.
I mean, that's Kyle Shanahan. Is his offense honorable? No,
it's not at all. No, it is not at all. That's enough soccer. We'll move on from now. Telemundo, Peacock, Espanol, Spanish, or the World Cup. Check it out this summer. Check out Malik Nabers. Hopefully this summer, guys. We hope he's actually practicing during Giants training camp. We really hope he's actually out there in week 1. Danny Carter, not looking the best. As we've talked about several times in the past, Malik Nabers, even before he tore his ACL last week 4, is the kind of guy who's kind of always in and out of the game. And it never really laid him low until this torn ACL, a really serious injury. He was always banged up, but he was always right back out on the field. Then, unfortunately, he did suffer the quote-unquote big one. That's bad enough. Even worse is the second operation. A cleanup procedure in and of itself is not the end of the world, but it's the classic. You would much prefer he didn't require the cleanup procedure. Much prefer something, even if it only sets him back a month. A month can make all the difference in this kind of situation, on this kind of timeline, Danny Carter. So how concerned are you about Malik Nabers, who's basically confirmed as a fantasy superstar, but hasn't played with Jackson Dart other than the one game where he was injured? How concerned are we about what is now a timeline that has been set back? We just don't know how much.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of the main concern here is that him and Dart have no experience together, right? As far as being on the field. Now, I'm sure they're getting together in the offseason, throwing it around, doing light drills or whatever, and that's good. I hope they know each other because not all quarterbacks and wide receiver ones know each other. I mean, look at Kyler Murray having no idea who Marvin Harrison Jr. was. So maybe they're doing that stuff, which is good, but really like the lack of familiarity is a problem here. And, we've seen this movie before. We know what's coming next. We know week 1 is the goal, but we're not sure. And then it's limited out. We're holding him out. We have him on a schedule, a practice thing, and then maybe he's out week 1 and comes back week 2. Now for fantasy, if that unfolds like that, is going to plummet him. I mean, he's going to drop, 10 spots, maybe 12 spots, maybe more, depending on the type of news we get. That makes him interesting, I think, from just a galaxy brain. Okay, I will buy with blood in the water sort of situation, right? But you are buying a guy, you're drafting a guy who is going to be coming off a major knee injury, and it's not like normal. So that you could actually really hurt yourself by trying to get cute about it.
Blood in the water, of course, what Denny calls his soccer strategy.
Yeah.
Just sensing any weakness. The weakness, of course, being the honor of the other team that's just trying to learn the game. Kyle, I posited to Denny in a VOD that I do feel like the most likely outcome for Nabers is that it goes out saying he won't play in the preseason. He probably won't be activated off the PUP list until final cuts. I think they will activate him then. If they don't, it means he has to miss at least 4 games. And then it's one of those really rare, frustrating summer situations where we enter week 1 and he is genuinely questionable, where we might not know Malik Nabers' status for the opener until Friday of week 1. It makes for an unnerving situation in fantasy football, not for the faint of heart kind of thing. Do you think that's the most likely outcome? And then how do you approach this in best ball right now?
I think the most likely outcome is he's rolled out for week 1. I don't think PUP is the most likely outcome, though. If I would have to say, is he more likely to go on PUP or play in week 1? I do think PUP is also the more likely outcome. And the team has signaled throughout the offseason process, leaking stuff to beat reporters or just the general vibe of beat reporters, that this is going to be a lengthy recovery for him, as it should be. Like, this is a team that's in year 1.5 of a rebuild, right? He's a young player who should be the face of the franchise. Let's not push him back too quickly because, like you said, he's been a warrior playing through a lot of various injuries, but he also does have a very extensive injury history. This is Jordan Renan, I think probably one of the best Giants beat reporters, speaking on Malik Nabers. He says specifically, the more I hear, the more I'm like, week 1 is in serious question. Starting to think we won't see the best of Nabers until 4 to 6 weeks into the season. Not that we won't see him 4 to 6 weeks into the season, but that we won't see the best of him. So I think the most probable outcome is that he probably doesn't play the first game or 2 of the year, and then it's a slow ramp up from there. And then he's probably awesome by maybe midway through the season because he's an awesome player and is getting a massive quarterback upgrade compared to what he's seen throughout his limited career. That being said, I don't think that's the way it's being priced in like early best ball drafts. I do think, to Denny's point, he is going to drop like a rock.
Wow. And will you be buying?
Yeah, probably. He's really good. I agree with Denny. Like, people freak out so much when they see this kind of stuff. And I think, of course, we should be adjusting, but also we should have just been adjusting from the moment, early in the offseason. We're getting reports that they don't know if he'll be ready for training camp. They're hopeful that he is, but we just don't know. And I think it hasn't caught up to that yet. And stuff like this, stuff when they put him on the PUP list probably at the start of training camp, will make it not only catch up, but we might jump the shark. So I think there's a decent chance by August 20th, I'm a pretty big Nabers bull. It might take a while for me to get there, though.
And just as a reminder, like in 19 NFL games for Nabers with some terrible quarterbacking, he's been targeted on almost 29% of his pass routes. That's really strong and is a good signal that like he is a legit target commander when he's healthy. And I think Kyle's right. I think he probably won't start the season healthy. He will get there, and he's a wide receiver 1 locked in when he's healthy.
Yeah, 29% isn't really strong. That is like Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase. Yeah. That is as strong as it humanly gets for wide receivers. Mm-hmm. So, Denny, I think you're underselling. Like, man, he when healthy, that's a real caveat this year. It's awesome. Great football player.
I recently saw an industry mock where someone who I really like the way this person usually drafts, and they took Nabers at 112. What do you think, that was good or bad?
I think I may have said at the time that I was a little more skeptical about his injury stuff.
Yeah,
and it is nice that all this came out to prove me right almost immediately. He's not going to 1-2 turn.
I think it was a horrible process pick. Who picked it? Oh, you did.
Someone.
Pat D.
Yeah, Pat D did it, and normally I respect his stuff, but I'm not so sure about that one.
It's usually pretty smart.
Yeah, I'm not so sure about that one. Not so sure about De'Von Achane in 2026, even though I am sure he's an elite player. The Miami Dolphins are quite sure he's an elite player. They've made him the 3rd highest paid running back in the NFL, a 4-year, $64 million contract extension, $32 million guaranteed. Kyle Dvorchak. I'm starting with Kyle. I feel like I've asked Denny about this a lot. The deal can be worth up to $68 million. I don't know why I added that part. Just kind of filibustering for some reason. I love De'Von Achane. The Dolphins have talked about him all offseason like he's the most important player in the franchise. They've now put their money where their mouth is. In fantasy, we kind of love when the offense revolves around one player. But Kyle, is this offensive environment just too bad? I know Denny's very concerned Malik Willis won't be checking down that often to De'Von Achane. Achane, of course, check down. It's a massive part of his fantasy football success. Just how do you feel about De'Von Achane, and now paid De'Von Achane in the post Mike McDaniel, post Tua Tagovailoa era?
Yeah, he does. So I believe that same Pat D writer, we'll have to see who this is. We could get some intel on who this guy is. Took him at the 1-2 turn, which is where he's roughly going in best ball drafts right now. He's going at pick 14. So right at the 1-2 turn. I said last week, and I'll just like echo these sentiments. I think that they absolutely value him as like the franchise cornerstone. As much as a running back can do that, I think Achane probably does be the like anchor of an offense. Ultimately, they just don't have a ton of influence on the success of the offense, and they really thrive when the offense is good. I just don't have very much faith that this offense is going to be good. And on top of not seeing a lot of checkdowns, which I think is probably true just in that Malik Willis, a very mobile quarterback and probably a very low volume quarterback, is not only just going to throw less, but he'll probably throw less to his running backs compared to what we saw last year. There's just almost no way they designed as much receiving work for him because Mike McDaniel might be the best offensive head coach at the time, now offensive coordinator, at designing stuff for his running back. He was splitting Achane out wide, putting him in the slot more than any other running back in the NFL. If we both lose checkdowns and design receiving work, it all comes down to the rushing game. And as awesome as he is as a runner, at the 1-2 turn, being a, like, I don't say primarily a early down type player, but losing as much receiving work as he probably is going to lose, I don't want to buy a player who I need to rely on early down efficiency on probably the 30th best offense in the NFL.
But Denny, is there betting on good players is in general a good strategy? They do backfire in awful offensive situations. Is there something to be said for just, we know it'll be different, but just don't worry about it? Like elite fantasy players somehow tend to get their numbers one way or another. Is that like too much cope with De'Von Achane?
I don't think it is. I'm not saying he's a perfect comp, but like I kind of used to say the same thing about Jamal Charles when he was on terrible Chiefs teams. And it's like, he's really good and I don't care. Like he's just going to get there. And most of the time that worked out. And I think Achane, you know, because of his speed, explosiveness, his production after first contact, things of that nature, he's really good and efficient. You know, but Kyle's right about his role last year. You know, 25% of his routes came from the slot. That's crazy high for a running back. That's not going to happen this year. At least I don't think it is.
Why would it not though?
Well, I mean, it's a whole new offense. It's like the opposite of Mike McDaniel. They're going for like, we're not doing the Mike McDaniel thing. We're doing like the cold weather, hard nose thing. We're going to run this guy right up the middle and gain 3 yards at a time. And so I don't know if that role is going to carry over from last year. And that makes me a little skeptical now. I do think he's just going to continue to rip off big runs. If he runs hot on touchdowns, this will look silly in the end.
The reason I took De'Von Achane at 2-1 after I took Malik Nabers, it was me who did it.
It was Patrick D.
Who went Nabers Achane. It was Patrick Daugherty. I'm by definition, if you're at the 1-2 turn, the best option's already gone. You either have to take someone maybe without a proven track record, a younger player, or someone that we know has a lot of upside, but a lot of big time question marks. It's scarier with Nabers because of the injuries. I just took Achane because I don't know, man. Like he's a good guy they use in every phase of the running game. Now he has the paid seal of approval. He's gonna be the first choice in every situation. I feel like a lot of times if I'm at that 1-2 turn, I'm going to end up feeling pretty good about coming away with De'Von Achane.
Yeah. I mean, let's put it this way. If you want Achane on your roster this year, you're going to have to take him there. Like he's not falling. Like, he's not coming back to you, not even close. So if you want to go in and bet on the talent, you got to do it at that turn.
Now we'll see if I start falling down the standings like I did last year after taking Bucky Irving. I actually had a pretty good year in spite of taking Bucky Irving in every league. Not quite sure how that happened. Bucky Irving recovering from shoulder surgery and had like the kind of mysterious all year long injury issues last year. It's not that big of a deal that it's May and he hasn't been cleared yet, Denny, but he hasn't been cleared. Now we have a new offensive coordinator, Zac Robinson. He of Falcons coordinating fame.
Yeah.
I'm just making a joke.
Also Pete Overzet's family member,
That's right.
Is this true, or is this just? Do they just look similar? Or is that literally true?
Or maybe not family member, but like classmate. There's a Pete over.
There's something there. He also is related
right.
to the Blazers GM. I think maybe he went to school with them or something. Anyways, Zac Robinson said Kenneth Gainwell, who's been signed by the Bucs this offseason, and Bucky Irving have similar skill sets. Denny, is it just getting more and more over for Bucky, or is Bucky a classic situation where like a negative atmosphere achieves like runaway momentum kind of for no real reason other than he was hurt the previous year and we get overly negative?
Right.
Which way do you think things are going with Bucky?
Yeah. What you're saying is that there's blood in the water as far as Bucky Irving is concerned. A lot of blood, maybe too much, but we'll see.
Wow. That's why they had to invent the PG-13 rating, because there was so much blood in the PG-rated Jaws.
Right.
They come up with PG-13.
Right. Jaws is looking strongly into the Bucs backfield. We're not too surprised. At least I'm not too surprised that Zac Robinson said this, because it's true. First of all, does it mean Bucky Irving's not a good pass catcher? It doesn't. He actually is a good pass catcher. He's been targeted on 20% of his routes in the NFL. He's consistently one of the most productive yards after the catch running backs in the league. EPA wise, it's really good. So he can do it. Like, that's not the question. But what preceded that comment about similar skill sets from Zac Robinson was this long soliloquy, guys. And I listened to it because I wrote this blurb. And he's going on and on. The leadership, the veteran know-how.
God.
Kenny Gainwell, there's never been a more important player in the history of this franchise than Kenneth Gainwell. We love him. He's teaching us how to play. He's teaching the young kids how to play. He's embracing the community. Coaches love this guy.
They do.
And there's nothing we can do about it. And you can't work that into a spreadsheet. You can't make it make sense. They just love him. He's going to be on the field. It's going to be a problem for Bucky Irving.
How far do you take? When I hear similar skill sets and coaches hammering this point home, it takes me back to the Tony Pollard, Tyjae Spears imbroglio in Tennessee. Ended up being pretty unsatisfying for all involved. Are we heading for the 2.0 of that situation? What do you think?
Well, in that instance, Tyjae Spears just didn't really play much football. Like, he was just strictly a backup. They meant it in the way, at least looking back in hindsight, they meant it in the way that, like, if anything happens, Tony Pollard, Tyjae Spears can step up. They didn't really give him the ball nearly as much as I thought they would, given what they invested in draft capital wise, given that, like, I kind of just think he's a good player. To your point, I don't know which way this goes. This could very much be like, if anything happens to Bucky, which we know can happen, we saw it last year, we have a strong replacement for him. Or it could be these two players are interchangeable. They'll be splitting series. And I think that just goes to how risky of a pick Bucky is right now. I think he could very much be the prototypical dead zone back where he just doesn't get enough work. He is not, like, very few players can thrive on efficiency the way like early career Achane did. He's really good. I don't know if he's not catching passes, which Gainwell could take away from him, if he can overcome something like that. I don't know if he can overcome Sean Tucker potentially taking goal line work. My only sense of optimism is when you look at the running back ADP order. After him is Trevion Henderson, who legitimately just probably is the team's backup to at least start the year. Like, we're worried about someone taking away work from Bucky Irving. I'm praying Trevion Henderson takes away work from the presumed starter. After that, it's Cam Scatterbo, who's awesome. Just don't know health situation wise. David Montgomery, the presumed starter. What's the point, man? Like, why would I? He's a fine running back.
Join a bowling league if you're going to draft David Montgomery.
Join a bowling league if you're going to draft David Montgomery.
I'm going to draft him so much.
He's a fine enough pick because he's probably going to see a decent amount of work.
Surprise! Denny, who's cherry picking soccer goals, is ready to cherry pick touchdowns with David Montgomery.
Basically, after Cam Scatterbo, we get to a pretty healthy mix of, like, we're not just making talent-based bets anymore. We don't have talent-based upside. The next two backs are this type of player. It's David Montgomery and DeAndre Swift. They're going to get a decent amount of the work. They might marginally pay off ADP. I don't feel like they can completely win my league. I think you can comfortably say Bucky Irving could win your league. Does that mean he's a good pick where he goes? I don't know. He's like a fine pick. Kyle D apparently made this pick in the mock draft at this point. So I think he's a fine pick, but definitely one where we could just look back and be like, yeah, sometimes these things just go to zero.
Yeah, Bucky is going to be one of the hinge point players this summer where I don't think he's not a guy where it's going to be like incremental one way or another. He's going to be deciding your team, your draft, either in a really positive fashion or really negative fashion. He's just going to be one of the no in-between players in the 2026 fantasy football season, I think. Denny.
I would like to know a little more about those vague kind of concerning reports from last year where it was Bucky Irving might not return this season for undisclosed reasons.
He didn't talk about it too much, but in the offseason, he did just like vaguely kind of say that he just didn't handle his first like very serious NFL injury very well. He didn't really expand as far as I
do think that's what it was, Kyle. That's what they've kind of is basically like he was very upset about being hurt.
Okay.
So what it boiled down to. And
okay, good.
A lot of times, by definition, if you've reached the NFL, if you've reached a major league, you probably haven't experienced that much adversity. There are, of course, a lot of exceptions to that, but a lot of times you've just been on a glide path. You've been one of the best players in any team you've ever been on. You probably haven't been hurt that often since you're here in the NFL, and you've been healthy. And it was a major setback that he didn't handle very well. I handled it very well. When Europeans in an unmarked van showed up in my driveway and said if Bucky didn't score 2 touchdowns this week, they were taking one of my children. I called there. I was like, listen, I'm good for it. Just back off of it. All right.
Wait, did you mean you're good for one of the children? You're like, I got one. You think you take one of them? Take 2.
And I had to call their boss.
Don't test me, man. I'll have another.
Yeah. Try it. Try that. Just try it. All right. Calm down. All right. It's a good time to take a short break. We'll be right back after this. CC Sabathia has a new podcast with NBC, MLB, according to CC. From clubhouse stories to unfiltered conversation about what's happening around the league. New episodes with CC and Ahmed Fareed drop every Wednesday on all major podcast platforms. I almost said the word podcast normally. Almost said it normally.
Yeah, I hope you do one day.
I hope. What is this? International games. The schedule. Boy, is it coming out.
Sure.
Boy, is that schedule coming out. Let me tell you. Listen, we broadcast the NFL, of course. We, by definition, love the NFL since we've based all of our careers around the NFL. Thursday afternoon, I'm not going to name names. Jordan Schultz is posting scoops about the schedule. And the scoop was just that the Ravens and Colts were playing in week 1. And I read it and was like, yeah, all right.
Okay.
Ravens and Colts. Playing week 1. Got it. Yep. We could have probably just waited for the schedule release for that one, but thank you for the leak on that one. Denny Carter, 9-game international slate this year. None of them on NBC, as far as I can tell. Really good international matchups. Really good international cities. Melbourne, Australia. Rio de Janeiro, London, Paris, Madrid, München, Mexico City. A lot of great towns. A lot of great games. What is your favorite game on the international slate in 2026?
I'm looking forward to Aaron Rodgers going to Paris.
Will they let him in?
Will
they let Aaron Rodgers into France?
I don't know if if his favorite AI tools will be available in France. That struck me as potentially kind of funny. I like watching the Jags overseas games because their fans are really into it and really rabid over there. I used to think it was a bit, but it seems very real.
I think it's the classic. It probably started as a bit, kind of like some people in America, like I'm an Everton fan. Like, isn't this kind of cool? Isn't this kind of ironic? And then 10 years later, like if we get relegated. Like, you don't understand. Like, my life is over. Yeah, my life it's over. I think that's maybe what happened with some European Jaguars.
And so I like the Jags are. There was one game in particular. I think they have 2.
They do. So not only do the Jags have 2 games in Europe, more specifically London, that they have a road trip in England where they're playing at 2 different stadiums.
Yeah.
Playing Tottenham Hotspur Stadium and, of course, Wembley Stadium.
Who do they play again? Can you remind me?
They play the Philadelphia Eagles on October 11th in Tottenham Hotspur. And then the following week at Wembley, England's national stadium, they play the Houston Texans.
The Eagles game was the one I was thinking of. I feel like that Jaguars defense could make things very difficult for for my Eagles. No, not my Eagles, but the Eagles. There was the France one is Steelers.
Steelers, who has a one of the symbols of France in their team logo. The New Orleans Saints.
Oh!
I knew right away. I know.
I was like, the Eiffel Tower. There's no team with the Eiffel Tower.
The Saints have a baguette in their logo. And I've never understood it.
But I'd like that. God, I love a baguette. You got to get it fresh though.
Baguettes are unbelievable.
They're so good.
So good.
I mean, guys our age are apparently not supposed to be eating bread, but whatever.
The New Orleans logo, by the way, is a little underpowered scooter. It's one of the symbols of France.
It's either that or the biggest pickup truck you've ever seen. Those are the two ways of getting around.
So, anyways, you like some of those games, Kyle? A Vespa, that's right. That's what producer Adam. Those little European scooters are called. What's your favorite game on the international slate, Kyle Dvorchak?
Did you guys say I had to dip out for a sec. Did you guys say the opener between the Rams and the 49ers? Like,
no,
that's
one of the games. One of the games of the year.
Yeah, like that's the crown jewel. Especially, like, I think if you give McVay the entire offseason to prepare for a lot of opponents, he prepares a little bit more than usual. He prepares more than usual. You're telling me for both of these guys, I said this about McVay, but I think it's 100% true of Shanny. You give them the entire offseason to prepare to face like the Falcons, the Browns. Like, yeah, I'll put in a few extra weeks of work. You give them a whole offseason to prepare to face each other.
Yes.
The moment this game dropped, they're like, I got to get in the lab and cook up something good. More so than they would for most other opponents. Maybe not every other opponent. But I do think these guys are both going to bring their A game in a way that, like, should have a lot of fireworks to open the NFL season.
They've already both moved to the Australian bush to get ready for the season, and they're trying to get the experience of being a true Australian.
Did you see George Kittle is preparing for his trip to Australia by killing spiders the size of $50?
I did. Well, I've heard a lot of stories about the spiders and the snakes in Australia.
Yeah, and so he posted the other day that he killed an enormous spider in his bathroom and then went back to bed.
You see, we don't really, I got to be honest, George, I don't think we have the type of spiders they have. Like $50. My guess is the Australians are looking at your $50 spider kill and being like, my toddler does that in her sleep. That's nothing.
Do you guys want to know one of the craziest? They're not playing in this part of Australia or even close to it. One of the craziest Wikipedia deep dives I've ever done.
Yes.
The Western Australia highway system.
Wow.
It's nuts because it's through like the great outback, and they have a crazy highway system. And if you want a trip of a Wikipedia, go to Western Australia. And wow, this is falling flat. So yeah, sure. Like,
I mean, I'm scared of.
I'll get right on
Australia.
The Western Australia, of course, is where Mad Max is real. That's just real. They don't like to talk about it. They don't advertise that part in the tourism bureau, whatever, but Mad Max is actually real. And so
you know how they say for those movies they do as much as they can in practical effects, not CGI. That's just because all real. That's how they do it. We just went out there and it's practical because it's really being done.
Denny, by the way, I didn't get it the first time I saw it. Do you agree now that Mad Max Fury Road is like literally one of the pillars of modern film?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. That movie is unbelievable.
It's really good.
Fury Road is truly unbelievable.
It's unbelievable, and I feel like it is also accessible in ways
which all great entertainment should be. It should be both artistically great and also actually accessible to a mass audience.
I remember like having no expectations and coming into it and then seeing it and being like, wow, that was way better than I thought.
Score a big one for practical effects. Which of these games most likely to create an international incident? I've got to be honest, it's running a little low on international incident potential. But week 4 in Londinium, we have the Colts versus the Commanders. That seems like a potential something going to go wrong. Which of these games do that? Basically, this is my way of saying which of these games is the worst.
I took international incident marginally different. Assuming Aaron Rodgers is playing for the Steelers, which is not a foregone conclusion, a suitcase full of ayahuasca, I have no clue if that will be able to get across the Atlantic. Maybe it can, maybe it can't. I haven't traveled internationally. I do think Rodgers is going to find out for me, though.
Right. Boy, week 7, Aaron Rodgers still the Steelers starter seems like a bit of a stretch to me.
I know we're going to maybe talk about Drew Allar later, but I feel like even if Rodgers signs eventually, reports, it's not going to last long.
You think the people of France will be ordering Drew Allar jerseys before week 7?
Man, maybe. But by the way, that Colts Commanders game, that's going to be Marcus Mariota versus Riley Leonard.
It goes without saying, neither starting quarterback will be playing.
Yeah, there's no way that those guys.
I just hope the injuries are minor. Man, we've got to get a healthy Jaden Daniels season this year. That was one of the biggest bummers of 2025. Almost as big of a bummer as the Miami Dolphins offense. There was no bummer as big as that. Of course, Tua Tagovailoa. Now Tua is on the Falcons. Michael Penix Jr. is participating in the team's offseason program. That a lot of times that can be misleading because like participating in offseason program could mean he's like standing there and like throwing.
It's all non-contact too, so there's nothing that could be too physically rigorous for him. So I agree. It's kind of, I don't say a misnomer, but it could be a little generous.
It's a little generous, but they don't hesitate to say so-and-so is not participating in the team's offseason program. Kyle weighed in first. So I'll give Kyle this one. Who makes more starts for the 2026 Falcons? Michael Penix Jr. or Tua Tagovailoa?
Give me Penix pretty comfortably too. I mean, I don't
think I made a good trade, by the way. Did we ever talk about this on the air?
I don't think so.
Did we ever talk about this on the air? Did we ever litigate this on the air?
Litigate what?
Yeah, I was gonna say we litigate what? Because I don't.
In the best ball league, some of the people you know, Davis Maddock, Michael Leone, one or two other industry people. There's a lot of Leone friends though. It's a full keeper, but it's best ball. It's also super flex. It was a team I inherited last year. I had an orphan team. I ended up getting second. I had Tua on this team. Anthony Amico, another industry guy, was a very, very motivated seller. Michael Penix Jr. And he knew I would be a captive audience because I had Tua Tagovailoa. And apparently at some point someone offered me a second-round pick for Chris Godwin, and I just didn't engage with it. I ignored it. And I'm really deep at receiver. And eventually I decided, like, whatever, I'll take Penix. And I was like, I don't want Chris Godwin. I'm just going to trade Chris Godwin. I traded Chris Godwin straight up for Michael Penix. And it's a super flex league, mind you. I was low on quarterback also, and I decided to cover all my Falcons bases. And the league acted like they had truly never seen a worse trade in the history.
Really?
Well, yes. They had never seen a worse trade.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't have done it, but I don't.
The group chat, there's 40 new messages. I made this trade 17 days ago. There's you can stop joking about it now. All right.
Yeah.
Guys, the bit's dead, everyone. It's not funny anymore. Everyone's having a blast. The bit is far from dead.
I actually talked to Pat Carane on the phone about this one. That's not why we talked. And he's like,
I was going to say, wow, you were really coping.
Yeah.
Anyways, not mad about it. So you think Penix makes more starts. So you're saying, I made a good trade. That's curious.
I think it's fine. I don't know if I would have done it, but I don't think it's that big of a deal. I mean,
I wanted to be like, are we talking about the same Chris Godwin, by the way?
Yeah.
30 years old, hasn't finished back-to-back seasons. Is there a different Chris Godwin I'm unaware of? Anyways.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think Penix is good, but I don't think the jury's out on him being bad either. Like
last year, it doesn't even matter.
True, super flex. Like, can you hold a starting job? Also, I don't know if he can do that, but last year he was 21st in EPA per play, EPA per dropback, which is not great, but he was like probably playing still in his single digits of NFL games to start the year. Like, he is not a player who has a lot of experience, and to get right behind Justin Herbert and Caleb Williams in terms of EPA per play this early in your career, it's fine. It's a little Trevor Lawrence-esque in the way that we had a lot of ups and downs early in his career, but he never at any point until last year looked like a top 12 quarterback, but he never looked like a bottom outside of his rookie season. As soon as the rookie season was over, a complete sham of a season. As soon as that season was over, it's like, oh, this guy's a competent starter. Is he good? Not until last year. But guys who are young and don't have a ton of experience and had good pedigree and have sustained some level of even just mediocrity, be a top 20 quarterback, I think there's a chance they take the next step. And right now, so far, I think his biggest attributes have been taking care of the football. He has an extremely low pressure to sack rate last year, extremely low interception. I think the league lowest interception rate. I think if he can just get more reps under his belt to dial in his accuracy, there's a chance he does take the next step. Probably not quite as big of a step as we saw Trevor Lawrence take, but I still think it's very much on the table. And that is just not even remotely in the realm of possibility for Tua. So for me to answer the question, coming all the way back to the question, for that reason, I think he comfortably makes more starts than Tua.
Denny, do you think it's Penix?
I mean, Yeah, Kyle makes a compelling case, so I guess I'll go with Penix, but I want it to be Tua for fantasy purposes.
Really? Why?
Why would you want that?
Yeah,
What's going on with you?
Why?
Yeah. Why?
Penix is a total catastrophe as a distributor, as a passer. I don't want this guy throwing to Drake London. Are you kidding me? I don't want him to throw into Bijan Robinson, even underneath. Forget about that. Like I hate the idea of Penix as the starter. I mean, you're talking about Tua being the 6th most accurate quarterbacks in the league since the start of 2023.
Right, cut his mic.
He's accurate, and then Michael Penix being more inaccurate last year than everybody not named JJ McCarthy and Shedeur Sanders. So Tua would be way more fantasy friendly for everybody involved here.
You know what is not a good sign for someone's career is that I was expecting for you to include Caleb Williams, and that the only quarterback who was more inaccurate was
he got a little bump, but I really think Tua would be the one we want as fantasy freaks to get.
No, you're probably right, but I'm going to rely on I've seen enough Tua. Like I've seen Penix.
Enough Penix, man.
No, we haven't
not
seen
happening.
I go back to the Trevor Lawrence point. Like we had seen enough of Trevor Lawrence, who was a good prospect who had been okay, not really good, but just had survived in the NFL. And like once we finally got enough of Trevor Lawrence under our belts, we just threw in the towel on him. It took like 3 seasons for us to have finally been like, he's not good anymore, and then was immediately good. We probably have like 1 full season of data combined from 2 seasons of Michael Penix. Like, what is his career games played? It has to be like 15 or 16.
No,
at most. Yeah, at most, if he's lucky. We'll see. He's supposedly a real coach in Kevin Stefanski, although I've spent a lot of my offseason truthing
You get
Kevin Stefanski, so we'll find out. But yeah, is this the same Chris Godwin? That's how I'll end this. Like, I didn't know there was another Chris Godwin, but the NFL.
He was good in 2018.
Exactly. Denny, do we think last year's Cardinals crazy? I swear I can read. Do we think last year's Cardinals craziness was a Jacoby Brissett stat or a Drew Petzing stat? Drew Petzing, of course, out of the desert, now calling the plays for the Detroit Lions. I asked because ESPN's Josh Weinfuss reports Jacoby Brissett has been informed by the Cardinals he is their starting quarterback.
Yeah.
It seems a little early for that, but I guess maybe it's classic sees Carson Beck practice once. You Jacoby, you are the starter. Do we think he can be like Flacco 2.0 fantasy folk hero again? Or is that just because of Drew Petzing and, of course, the absolutely horrific Cardinals defense? Basically, do we think Jacoby Brissett can support cool fantasy seasons again in 2026?
Yeah, man. Yes. I mean, like, does Jameis Winston change under certain OCs? No. He just drops back and he sees a guy downfield and he throws it. Like, it's really just that simple. And I think the same thing with Brissett, who has an enormously strong arm. He doesn't care enough to like, oh, I don't want to throw an interception. What will that do to my careir? Like,
and also Denny, like, oh no, I might get sacked. Oh boy, that's never happened before.
Right. And and also the fact that he's a giant. Like Jacoby Brissett is a giant who can stay in the pocket, take a hit, and be okay, and throw it downfield.
Boy, can he take a hit? That guy can get laid out.
I mean, now Flacco can take a hit, but not like Brissett. Like Brissett is thicker. Brissett is much bigger as far as like thickness goes. And yeah, this would be amazing for Michael Wilson in particular. By the way, with Carson Beck, I don't know if it was his agent or the team, but man, they cleaned up my boy big time to introduce him to the media.
Really?
Oh yeah, they gave him a haircut. They had his hair combed back. They had a nice collared shirt on. This guy looked like he wanted to sell me a Hyundai, like, not the bad boy quarterback from Miami. So well done there, I guess. If that's what
it's a classic move to Scottsdale once, and you better look like a yuppie young man if you want to.
Oh, he did. He did. And if Brissett starts, he'll be benched eventually. We know that.
Anything to add, Kyle? Carson Beck ain't it. I will add that.
Yeah, when you were like, "Oh, is this a Drew Petzing stat?" Like around Easter, do you ask your kids like, "Are all these eggs, are those an Easter bunny stat?" Maybe they think that at the time. I'm not going to finish that sentence in case people are listening with their kids in the car, but you know what the implication is. In this case, no, they're Jacoby Brissett stats. And I agree. I don't think Jacoby Brissett lasts as the starter, which will be a big problem for everyone involved down the stretch. I think that makes this a pretty tough bet, especially in best ball where so much is weighted towards the end of the season. That being said, for as long as Brissett is the starter, we're probably getting good fantasy numbers from one of the receivers. Hard to say who for sure, and obviously Trey McBride.
I'm a little more worried just because you have a Rams acolyte coming in where they preach balance. You, of course, have a number 3 overall running back coming in where I do think they're going to attempt to curb the Brissettness. But as you guys pointed out, especially as these players get older, it becomes harder and harder to change the way they play. Like Sean Payton actually kind of kept Jameis Winston in check. Like Jameis went full Jameis, Flacco went full Flacco. It becomes hard. These guys are out there just to throw the ball. And
I agree with your point, though, that they've made a very clear sign that they're more invested in the running game. I mean, given it was injuries that caused this, but what they had at running back at the end of the year in 2025 was probably just the worst backfield in the NFL. Yeah. And now they've gone out and spent, like, if they had just spent on Tyler Algier, it would be a pretty notable upgrade. But obviously they go and get Jeremiah Love. So I agree. They're going to curb the Jacoby Brissett pass-heavy nature. I don't think you can take it away from him, though.
Man, if they had only signed Tyler Algier, Jacoby Brissett would have been like, I'm checking out of every run, man. Like, I don't care. Like, you think I'm going to waste time handing the ball to Tyler Algier? Like, no, this is a pass. No. Okay.
I just real quick. I just think this is where like separating fantasy from real football is important because it's going to be horrible for real football.
Truly horrible.
But like we can cook with Brissett under center. That's all I want to say.
Very important distinction for Mr. Carter. We will be right back after this. The wait is over. This Sunday, the WNBA returns to NBC and Peacock. First, Asia Wilson and the Aces travel to Atlanta for a date with the Dream at 1 p.m. Eastern. Then at 6 p.m. on Peacock, Caitlin Clark and the Fever host the Seattle Storm. The Fever went very deep in the WNBA playoffs last year, even without Caitlin Clark.
I was reading about how much the pay boost was for the WNBA players this year, and that's awesome. I mean, I knew it was. I knew they got a pay bump, but I didn't know it was that much. That's really good.
They had quite the labor dispute there. They settled it. Really hope baseball is next. Kyle, Denny's been acting like Emeka Egbuka is not good. Let's just cut to the chase. Bucks OC Zac Robinson said Emeka Egbuka is going to take huge strides. Let's see here. Who do we believe? Some podcast dork or some NFL coach, Zac Robinson, who was just so good as the Falcons offensive coordinator.
Well, also, it's good to know that he understands that huge strides are needed because last year sucked.
All right. Where are you following this, Kyle? Yeah, just start talking.
I truly don't get why you would say last year sucked. His 1.7 yards per route run is 75th percentile for a rookie wide receiver in the past decade. Targeted. What do you 75th percentile? 75% of receivers are worse than him as rookies.
1.75? Give me a break.
That's pretty solid.
He posted extremely similar numbers to Tedero McMillan. Like, how do you square those?
That's actually good. That's probably not actually good, but yeah.
Guys, you can't stab me in the back like that.
I'm kidding. Ted is probably pretty good. I know Egbuka's good.
Yeah, I mean, Egbuka targeted on 23% of his routes. That was 87th percentile among all rookie wide receivers the past, I think it's like decade. I found this spreadsheet where I was doing this stuff a year ago. I was like, let's put these guys in. So among all, like, sure, as if you were grading him as a fifth-year wide receiver who you expect to be in their prime, perfectly mid-season. Like, I think his yards per route was like 32nd or something. Like, oh, the worst starting, number one receiver or a good number two, perfectly mid-season. But like, he deserves, as all rookies do, to be graded on the curve of 1.7 yards per route run as a rookie is a really strong number. And it affirms the profile he had coming into the NFL, which is a really good profile, not sterling by any means. But when he is truly well above the median among all rookie wideouts and was also that player coming out of college, it sucked that it ended so poorly, right? If he had stopped playing football in week 8, he'd have an incredible per game rookie season. All the bad games came at the end of the year, and all the good games came at the first half of the year. Was not a fun experience. But I think like to say his rookie season was bad is largely going, if you look at the bad games, it was a pretty bad rookie season, which I agree with that sentiment. Well, do I think that's how we should grade him?
Denny, I think too, it just is ignoring context, which of course the spreadsheets can do. Where the bad stretch coincided with classic rookie wall time, for instance, but also classic awful Baker Mayfield stretch where he injured his non-throwing shoulder. And for the second time that he did that, he was basically one of the worst quarterbacks in the league after that. And the Bucs offense in general became unwatchable. Of course, Emeka Egbuka doesn't get a free pass for that. But I do think it was maybe just kind of a rookie wearing down in an offense that had collapsed. Maybe the offense isn't going to improve this year. Maybe Baker Mayfield's been figured out again. They're on their 4th offensive coordinator in 4 years for the Bucs. But I do think Egbuka, it was a classic. You have to look at it in totality. I thought the good did outweigh the bad. And I'm not surprised that Zac Robinson basically very excited to have him there. But any rejoinders?
I have a stat that totally undermines my argument. This is from my buddy Scott Spratt on Blue Sky. Good follow, metrics heavy dude. From weeks 1 to 5, Emeka Egbuka saw a 79% catchable ball rate. That ranks 16th in the league, right? From week 6 to 18, that catchable ball rate went from 79% to 48%, the lowest among all qualifying wide receivers. So Baker was terrible. I guess I can buy that.
Baker something happened to him. He injured his shoulder and he just couldn't play.
And so yeah, okay. All right, I'm wrong. Egbuka back.
Also, speaking of the rookie wall, this is just like an addendum to that as well. I was looking for the injury report because I knew this happened. Emeka had an extremely bizarre DNP limited, like the random limited on a Saturday because they were playing on Monday, questionable, which he played through, which like rookies get sat down to take a break because they're dinged up all the time. It like notably kind of happened to Bashal Tootin a little bit in his rookie season. And there was like, nah, Emeka, like our receivers are banged up, buddy. Chris Godwin's out this week. You are getting back out there. And from this game onwards, also coincides roughly with the Baker Mayfield injury, but also from this game onwards where Emeka barely practiced and trotted his corpse out there, he was terrible the rest of the year. Like, I'm not saying that's the sole cause. There are many causes of it. And I'm just grading his rookie season just front to back, like take all the games and aggregate them. I do think he also probably gets some slack for almost certainly playing injured through the second half of the year.
Emeka Egbuka, I do think also maybe this wasn't up to the Bucs, but kind of a vote of confidence that they let Mike Evans leave. If they truly wanted Mike Evans back, that probably would have happened. I think they're still very happy with Emeka. And a first-round player who went out there and definitely, quote-unquote, looked like a first-rounder and even produced like a first-rounder, I think, more often than he did not. I'm still optimistic in Emeka Egbuka. We'll keep debating it all summer, though, Denny. Are we going to fall for this one again? Adonai Mitchell. The Athletics' Zach Rosenblatt reports he feels pretty locked in to the number 2 receiver role, who did the Jets add at receiver?
I could give you 50 guesses and you wouldn't get it.
Darnell Mooney?
No. It was more recently, so I know there's no way you can get it. You'd have to scrape deeper than that.
Anyway, because I know there's a little more receiver competition. Omar Cooper, of course.
Yeah, Tim Patrick got added recently.
That's right, Tim Patrick.
That's a wide receiver 4. That's a veteran guy.
That is what I was thinking of. So, Denny, can the first-round receiver there, can Adonai Mitchell actually be the number 2 receiver for the New York Jets? I guess doesn't matter in a Geno Smith, Frank Reich environment.
The question is, can he be the number 1? Is he going
to King?
Is he going to leapfrog Garrett Wilson, who's never been good? And AD Mitchell, he's a fun, exciting, explosive guy. I have some stats for you. So after he was traded to the Jets before week 9 last year, let me just put on my bifocals. He was 11th among all wide receivers in air yards and 7th in air yard share, 37%. That's pretty good.
That was before the trade?
That was after.
Okay, I was like, wow.
That was after. Remember he messed up that touchdown and he was thrown out of Indianapolis?
Yes.
Really good process there, by the way, for the Colts. You make one mistake and you're gone. Anyway, so yeah, I mean that's crazy. The air yards, I think, is a signal that, like, you know, he's getting open deep. Was he catching many? No, but you know, that's why he's available, like at the end of the draft or whatever. He was 19th in ESPN's open score, ahead of ahead of Wan'Dale Robinson and George Pickens. I'm just saying. I mean, is he better than Pickens? I don't know. We'll see.
He could be like a poor man's Pickens, Kyle Dvorchak, or a volatile skill set, a guy known to make plays down the field. Do you view Adonai Mitchell as the Jets' number 2 receiver? It's a little aspirational. It's not completely unrealistic, though.
I do view him as the number 2. I think you mentioned at some point, like, what does that mean, though? And to me, I'm quite skeptical Geno can really do much with what I think is genuinely a good skill set in Adonai Mitchell. Probably limited would be fair to call it that way, but it's a very valuable skill set to real NFL teams. And if your team is just willing to pepper you with deep targets, sometimes it hits like it did at the end of last year. But Geno, buddy, among 34 qualified quarterbacks, Geno ranked 34th in accurate throw rate on deep throws. PFF's number 33 graded passer on these throws, 32nd in adjusted completion rate on deep throws. And Adonai Mitchell doesn't only operate deep. And I got too lazy, but all of Geno Smith's intermediate stats are bad too. Like at some point I was like, oh, I'm going to reveal the stats that Geno Smith was bad last year. And I was like, I don't need the stats. Like he was
but from last year though, right?
Yeah, the most recent year. Yeah, that one.
You got to throw that out. Come on. Listen, the Geno folks have said we're throwing it out.
They decided to throw it out.
Yeah, we're taking it out of the history books. Never happened.
Wow, just expunged from his record. That's
total fiction.
We made it up. A writer's invention. Definitely a writer's invention that Frank Reich is the Jets' offensive coordinator in 2026. Denny, it'd be a writer's invention if Drew Allar were good. But yeah, they're uninstalling everything he learned in college. That's great. He really got his money's worth for his education there at Pennsylvania State University. They're going to uninstall it the second he gets to the big city, New York City. Excuse me. He's not on the Jets. He's on the Steelers.
Yes.
Yeah, Mike McCarthy, I don't know. Is he just getting restless with Aaron Rodgers? Why are we getting Drew Allar reports? But any chance Drew Allar works, Hackenberg 2.0, any chance it works for the Pittsburgh Steelers?
Oh, yeah. I think we can take it down a notch. It's not Hackenberg.
The Penn State, formerly ballyhooed Penn State quarterback who falls to day 2.
I mean, he was actually good in college.
Hackenberg was good for 1 year.
Yeah. Well, anyway, Allar, is being like rebuilt from the ground up, RoboCop style. And I respect it. I actually saw some footage of Mike McCarthy working with him, and I mean, he was taking it real slow. Like, here's where this foot goes, and here's where that foot goes. And so I'm thinking it's going to be a while before we see Drew Allar on the field and taking meaningful snaps. I think the reason we're getting these reports, honestly, guys, is because the media is dying for some Aaron Rodgers news.
Yes, yeah.
And so they are doing reports on Drew Allar to try to instigate Aaron into
trying to smoke him out, get him out.
Yeah, right. You're trying to smoke him out of his cave. And that's what this is about.
Curious, Kyle, that it's not Will Howard reports. I was told Ohio State was good and Penn State was bad.
No, Howard's not good.
He's so bad.
Also, the bar is pretty high as a Buckeye, so no national championship. No, did he win? Oh, he won our last one, didn't he?
I think Will Howard won your last net here.
You're right. Yeah, Sayin wasn't on the team yet. Sayin, he's really good. He's not gonna. He's so good, man. No, Howard's not good. Like, clearly was never going to be good. Very much a college football fiction. I do think if any non-Aaron Rodgers quarterback starts for this team, especially down the stretch, it's probably most likely to be Allar. I believe they still have Mason Rudolph on this roster, which is pretty.
They do, which probably will not remain the case. But Allar, listen, looks like is doing some heavy lifting here. He kind of looks like Josh Allen. I never understood why he wasn't good.
I agree.
Yeah,
I never understood why.
To Denny's point, though, he had times earlier in his career where he both fit like the PFF. I don't want to say film stuff, but like PFF is like grading it by eye on very rigid structure, and then also fit the more true spreadsheet stuff like EPA. And he was terrible in his final season, truly like awful. But early in his career, there was a ton of promise, both in these spreadsheets and with his physical profile. To your point, he's a big athletic guy,
Mhm.
and it all came apart at the end. I think there's not impossible. There's something to salvage here, but the reclamation project does appear to be like one of these large government, like this will span from 2020 to 2045, but it's going to be great at the end of it. It seems like a long recovery project, given how much they're starting from the ground up. I think there's something maybe to be had here, though.
Man, the amount of talent that James Franklin squandered in Happy Valley is almost unfathomable.
Yeah, I think you kind of, I mean, that's what this report is about. Like everything you learned under Franklin, you got to forget, kid.
Don't worry, VT fans, though. He's going to be great down there.
Yeah, that'll work out for him. Sure.
He's going to be absolutely great. Matt Campbell will probably absolutely be great in Happy Valley. We will be great on the Rotoworld Football Show when we come back next week. We don't know what we're going to talk about yet, but it'll be football. I can tell you that much.
Kyle's articles.
Okay, well, we're trying to get to a second segment on Kyle's rookie rankings, and
we're striking while the iron's hot. We're talking rookies in June.
Don't worry, I'm doing a rookie draft next week. I actually need to inform the league that we're doing the draft. So we'll still be drafting next week. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about whatever's popping in the news. Some teams are practicing right now, so we're getting actual reports.
We'll have real schedule stuff next week at some point too.
That's
I mean,
true.
It's happening like almost as we're talking right now.
We will talk about the schedule. That is correct. So for Denny Carter, for Kyle Dvorchak, I'm Patrick Daugherty. Thank you so much for listening. We will talk to you really soon.